In the shadowed hills of Ayrshire, Scotland, nestled in a tangle of mist and ivy, stands Seafield House, an aging Victorian estate with secrets buried deeper than stone. It was the autumn of 1883 when 17-year-old Jane Allardyce arrived at its rusted iron gates, her heart heavy with hope and a letter of employment clutched in trembling hands. She was a servant girl, like many before her, plain but kind-eyed, with chestnut hair pinned neatly beneath a linen cap. But from the moment she stepped onto the grounds, something felt wrong. The air held weight. The silence had a pulse. Her quarters were cramped and cold. The wallpaper peeled in places like old skin. A single candle flickered beside her bed, and as she lay staring into the dark, she heard it. Whispers. Faint, indecipherable, but near. Each night, the voices grew clearer, sometimes weeping, sometimes laughing, sometimes
Jean.
calling her name. Then came the violence. Jane was thrown from her bed by invisible hands, her screams echoing down stone corridors that refused to carry them far. She bore bruises with no cause, terror with no explanation. Terrified, she confided in another maid, only to be met with polite dismissal and cautious glances. No one wanted to speak of what lingered behind the walls of Seafield House. Desperate, the lady of the manor summoned a minister. He came with scripture and salt. He left with doubt and shaking hands. The next night, chairs floated, tables shattered. The room groaned beneath a pressure no eyes could see. Jane watched in paralyzed horror as the house turned on her. Then, scratched into the wall above her bed, 3 words appeared. Leave her be. Even in daylight, it pursued her. Pots moved on their own. Doors creaked open to nothing. She became a ghost within the house herself, pale, silent, avoided. One morning, she was dragged across the hall by an unseen force, her nails clawing at the stone. It took 3 people to pull her free. And then she changed. Eyes rolled white. Her voice, once soft and gentle, twisted into something guttural, ancient. Her body convulsed. Her lips whispered names she'd never known. They found her one evening, collapsed in the library, weeping uncontrollably among torn pages and fallen books. Whatever lived in that house had broken her. In a final act of defiance, the staff gathered in prayer outside her room, crosses drawn, voices unified. The walls screamed back. They saw it then. Floating objects, icy breath, shadows that moved without source. It was no longer belief. It was fact. The house was alive. At dawn, Jane was taken from Seafield, shaking, exhausted, forever changed. She never returned. Some say she never spoke of it again. The house fell quiet. The room was cleaned. The walls, though cracked, no longer whispered. Months later, a new maid entered Jane's old quarters. She smiled at the soft light, unaware of its history. But the air still felt wrong. The lady of the house spent her last years staring from the drawing room window. Some say she spoke aloud to someone who wasn't there. To this day, Seafield House stands, its doors locked, its windows dusted with time. But the walls still remember. And some nights, if the wind is right, you might hear the whispers too.